Hi everyone, Chrissy here for StampNation, and we are celebrating our 6th birthday bash. So today we are doing a challenge. So I created this video for the challenge, hopefully to inspire you. Here I'm just showing you the newest Catherine Pooler inks that came out, and I'm going to use some of those in this video. So to get started, I cut a piece of watercolor cardstock and I placed it into my MISTI. It was cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I love using a MISTI or any type of positioning tool, or sometimes I just lay the cardstock down. I love putting my stamps down first so I can kind of visualize and see what my card is going to look like before it's actually done. So I did that with my MISTI, and then I'm just inking up the 2 flowers. This is a paper tray ink stamp set, and it's called Peonies on Parade. And I just used some Versamark watermark ink, and now I'm just going to add some white embossing powder over it. Now this is white on white, so it's very hard to see on camera. You can see I'm just kind of like flicking off some of the extra embossing powder, and I use a coffee filter. I know there's all kinds of like fancy catch trays and stuff like that. Yep, coffee filter for me. I'm all about the frugal. So I just hit it with the heat gun. I used the Versamark ink because I wanted it to be white. I didn't want a color underneath, and you'll see why in a little bit. We're actually going to watercolor with the Catherine Pooler inks. So the white embossing is just a really fun way to kind of highlight the watercolors. It kind of, resists them. So you'll see what I mean in a few minutes here. So I went and I put my panel back onto the MISTI, and this time I'm going to stamp the centers of the peonies. Now I am not going to emboss these. I'm going to use the new Tiara ink. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. So I just inked it up a few times and pressed it on there, and you can see it's on there. And this I'm actually going to add water to, and we're going to kind of soften it a little bit. And then I decided I wanted to add a leaf as well. So I did that with the Versamark as well. And I'm going to emboss that with the white. So you can see there. If you want, I know people use like a chalk pack, like a little pouch, chalk pouch, or anti-static. You can certainly do that. I didn't do it for this because I wasn't having problems with any static. People use that because sometimes your embossing powder, extra embossing powder, will get stuck. And it'll show up on your panel or your card, and you don't want it there. So it's definitely a good idea to do it. I only do it on certain cardstocks. I don't seem to have a problem with my watercolor cardstock doing it, so I don't. So I stamped the sentiment, and I stamped it in Midnight ink, and that's from the Stamp of Approval Lovely Flower stamp set. And this time I'm going to cover that with clear embossing powder. I want to protect that from our future watercoloring. This way it kind of creates a seal when you clear emboss it. So when we do add water and ink to the rest of this panel, it's not going to smear or bleed or anything like that. So I stamped some of the new Lime Ricky and the new Party Dress inks onto an acrylic block. That's going to kind of be my palette. And I just grabbed a watercolor brush, a water brush, and I just started watercoloring. What I do is I just pick up a little bit of color, and you can see I kind of squeeze out a little bit of water onto my acrylic block to kind of water down the ink basically. And I come in with like a real light wash of color. And then as it dries, I just keep adding more and more dark. You can, if you're impatient, you don't want to wait, you can definitely use a heat gun to kind of speed up the process, which I do sometimes, and I think I might do a few times in this video. I also dab onto a paper towel off to the side. I kind of get rid of some of the extra ink. It's to get rid of the extra water too. Sometimes I squeeze too much water out with the water brush. So if you don't have a water brush, it's not a problem. You can use a regular brush with just a cup of water. I just prefer using the water brush. I feel like I have more control because to me it's kind of like coloring with a marker or a pencil or something. So I've just kind of conditioned myself to use it. But honestly, regular brushes will work as well. Also, I use it later in the video, a Spectrum Noir sparkle marker. Say that 3 times fast. You could use that too. If you don't want to use a water brush, here's the marker I was talking about. You can actually use this in place of water and grab the color, and then the sparkle is all kind of built in. So for this, I just added the sparkle to the top. I don't know, I just kind of figured that I didn't want to waste it, I guess. Sometimes I'm kind of frugal. So I used my water brush and then I added this on top. But you can definitely use this as a water brush or a paintbrush instead. So I did hit that with the heat gun just to make sure that it was 100% dry, because now I came in with the new Aquatini. I stamped that on my little stamp block back there. That is my acrylic block that came in the foundations box. And oh, did you see that bracelet I'm wearing? Yep, that's in the foundations box too. And it's in Catherine's store. So I just wanted to add a little bit of a shadow in the Aquatini. Oh, look, see, look. How great is that? I noticed that it matches the party dress. So my bracelet matches my card. I just wanted to add a little bit of Aquatini back there, just as kind of like a little shadow. And instead of using like gray or something, I thought the blue would be really pretty. So we're pretty much done. To finish off the card, I just added some foam squares. I add a lot of them when I use watercolor cardstock because it can buckle because we've added water and ink to the paper. So even when it's dry, don't be afraid. Use a lot of foam. And then I just adhered it on a standard card base, 4¼ by 5½. It was an 8½ by 11 sheet cut in half and scored. So you can really see the sparkle. So I hope you will participate in this challenge. There's all kinds of awesome sponsors, and give this technique a try. We'd love to see it. I will see you in the forums. Thanks.